Nerd on the Podcast is proudly partnered with Apogee Electronics and Odyssey Headphones, leaders in the field of audio.
The thing is, they said he's the kind of guy who would be a kid in school who reminds the teacher, like, hey, we didn't get homework yet. Like, shut the What's up, everyone? Welcome to Nerd On, the podcast you didn't need, but you deserve, where all levels of nerd are welcome, long and epic-wise. That's all I'll have to say about that. They said the Age of Heroes would never come again, and that there was no Snyder Cut. Here we are, at the destination for this long 8-year saga, capped with years of hashtags, banners flown, and thousands of dollars donated to suicide prevention. The film with so much drama in and off the screen. Today, maybe our faith can be restored a little when we discuss our marquee topic, ZACK Snyder's Justice League. Let's get. We got. No,
I almost did it. I was like, no, that'd be bad.
That's ruining it. Today's for Justice League.
Yes.
Only for these heroes. It's a long episode today, but so let's get into it quickly. My name is Tom.
I'm Caitlin.
Corey.
And I am Josh, and this episode is brought to you in part by the members of the Nerd On Nation that is powered by Patreon. As a member of the Nerd On Nation, you do get fun perks, like you get early access to these episodes. You get bonus episodes that nobody else hears. You get access to secret channels on our super secret but public Discord channel. You get discounts on merch. You get all sorts of fun stuff. You get what we call the Nerd On Nudge on our other weekly show, the Nerd On Update. And so check that out. It does allow us to keep growing, to keep being the best that we can be, upgrading our content. Good stuff. It's good stuff.
Be the best that we can be.
There it is. Check that out. Nerdon.tv /Patreon. And also check out that Discord, nerdon.tv /Discord. And a huge shout out to our partners, Apogee and Odyssey. Apogee have equipped us with these microphones, the Hype Mic, the ultimate podcasting microphone. Can't recommend it enough. We use it for literally everything that we make. Currently in the pandemic. So do check it out. High quality. Use it on Mac, PC, iOS devices. It's a good time. Check it out. And also check out Odyssey headphones. We are using their LCD ones, but we also use their Mobius headphones, which is kind of their gaming, also 7.1 headset.
Sexy.
They're beautiful.
It's
so
of
beautiful.
the sexy.
It is of the sexy.
It is of the sexy. So check it out. But yeah, if you like what you hear today, stop by, rate and review us, share us with your friends, your family, all of that good stuff. When people find us on iTunes or Spotify or wherever there are ratings and reviews, and they see other people saying things, they're like, "Oh, hey, I'm gonna give this a shot," just like that.
And then we are like Cookie Monster. If we get a review, if we get like an Apple Podcast review, we're like, oh man, that's really good. And then you get another one, you're like, oh my God, this is delicious. So like the more of them we get, the more we are pleased as Cookie Monster.
Yeah, I like it.
Just saying
More sugar in our bodies.
Yeah, sugar. And one last piece of housekeeping, going back to the Nerd On Nation. We are so very close to our next goal. Once we reach that goal, you, as the Nerd On Nation, members of the Nerd On Nation, will get to choose a topic for one of our episodes. So super close. Head on over there if you are not a member, even as low as $1, up to $8. All sorts of fun stuff over there. So check it out. But that's the housekeeping. Shall we get on to this hashtag Snyder Cut?
Let's get it on.
This epic and long episode. I just got
So we're going to match the length,
For a
right?
couple reasons. Well, a couple reasons it's going to be longer. First of all, this is an event. This is an event of epic proportions, the fact that this even got made. But it's also 4 hours worth of content that we're discussing. It's not going to be twice as long as our usual ones where we cover 2-hour movies, but it will be longer. So buckle up, strap in. It's going to be a good time.
Have a beverage next to you and enjoy, and you're hanging out with us. With that being said, this wouldn't be a normal episode where we talk about a finished product if we do go to our next 2 segments.
Say what?
And the first one, which is fun because it deals with the end of the show, which brings us to
Guess that Grump. Aquaman all come together for Steppenwolf sucks. He's so mean and he's gonna die. Alfred makes the tea the best.
I invite anybody out there to make a theme song for that.
It's never gonna work.
I don't invite anybody.
Do you invite or do you plea?
I plead.
You plea.
I don't.
Plead,
But what I
would
so
love-
that he doesn't get this every time.
I would love if they actually just downloaded our episodes and then like melodine the different versions. So it just turned into this like
No, I only want
such technical wizard things
Tom just
to
wants
happen.
that every time.
I just want that, and then also Junkie XL to just give me some like random like heavy metal that I was not
That's
expecting.
fair.
Okay.
That's fair.
Anyway, so everyone, if you're brand spanking new to the show, welcome. This is quite the episode to jump in on. If you were familiar, this is quite the episode to jump in on.
You fools!
Now you're here. Guess That Grump is the segment where we are going to go around the digital screens. If you're not watching it on YouTube, you should be, because you'd see all of our beautiful faces talking about this wonderful
This
film.
is the true.
Where we're going to go around and guess who's going to have the lowest rating from 1 out of 5, no matter how high the number is, because we try to keep it positive. The lowest one will be the Grump for the week. And since I always explain it and I never get it wrong, I'm going to go first.
Yeah.
I'm going to go first. And I'm going to say, I think the Grump for this episode is going to be the one sticking her nose up in my face for no reason, Caitlin.
I knew you were going to choose me. I know most of you are, so.
Kaylin,
What's your vote?
who doth you choose?
who doth?
I think it'll be Corey.
What the
Wow.
heck? Why not?
Why
me?
on earth would
Why
I
not
choose
me?
you?
Why not the guy with the
because,
associate producer
okay.
shirt?
Stop their fighting,
Whose
Josh. What do you got?
branding is basically DC boy. Anyway,
Yeah, it's true.
It's because Corey always goes last.
I do. So I have to take the notes, baby.
I am going to pick Corey.
I think a true chaotic neutral.
I feel
But
like
really,
I dodged
Kate, no,
a
I'm just
bullet.
kidding.
No,
I'm just kidding. I'm committing.
Okay. I'm also going to pick Caitlin.
I knew it.
Fly, you fools.
And I got something to let you guys know about. Are you sitting at home? Are you sitting at home right now being like, you fool, you should have picked Josh? Are you so certain that one of us should have picked Josh? Are you so certain?
Are you so certain too?
You certain? Are you
I'm
just
certain
ripping
right
your
now.
shirt off because you're so mad that we didn't pick the person? Well, guess what? You can vote if you really want to. Join the Nerd On Nation. You could be the grass-fed Gatorade,
Your voice
Guardians
needs to go
of
up higher.
Green Lantern.
Green Lantern, Guardians of Who Guess Grass-Fed Grumper guesser. And you could take part. And if you get it right, guess what? Come here. You get a shout out on the episode.
Whoa,
Whoa.
But wait, there's more. No, I don't think there is. But
that's actually it. But yeah,
No, but that's it. You get a shout out on the episode for getting it right because good on you. You know us better than I guess we know us. So with that, the Nerd On Nation has spoken. We had a lot of votes this time around. Thank you all for that. Appreciate it. Makes our, remember that Cookie Monster thing before? Pretty similar. But they have spoken. And the Nerd On Nation has guessed that the Grump of this week's episode for Snyder Cut will be me, Corey. Hi.
there it is.
wow.
So
Wow.
at the end of the episode, it'll go like this. We will give our scores as such. Tom and Josh duke it out for going first. Then it's Caitlin. Then it's Corey.
Wow.
So that's how I have 3. Caitlin has 2.
I feel so blessed right now. For those that are coming to the show for the first time, comic book things are normally not my cup of tea, so I'm a very easy target to choose for being the Grump.
Sure.
So,
But people apparently think that I don't love DC also. I don't.
well,
I
this
don't
one
live-
specifically.
You
this
only
one
like
specifically.
Nightcrawler. That's it.
Yeah, you
Or
only like
X-Men
Nightcrawler,
related.
that's all you like.
That's it.
If it ain't
And
They're not
sometimes the
Bamkin.
as he
I
said,
feel like
wearing
they
his Flash
think
his
you'd
shirt.
be like
It's true.
me if I didn't have the bias. That's what it is, I think.
I think, I think
Yeah,
that
that's probably
might be
about right.
it.
So with that being said, you heard the guesses. Now it's time to go to the complete spoilers of that. Are you ready? Because now we're going to go to our initial reactions and our first impressions. Who would like to jump first?
Buckle up.
I will.
Corey does.
Was that you, Josh?
No, it was kind of like an intro into the
He was hype
Since
man.
y'all threw
We
me
were
under the
vibing.
bus from the Nerd Nation 3 others, I would love to go first. So
Oh boy.
Initial reaction. Keep it short.
I'm going to keep this short. If you want to hear about our Snyder Cut experiences, go listen to last week's update because I believe we dove into those pretty hardcore. Was that
No.
the update?
No,
Oh, that's
that was
last week's
Join our
extra.
Patreon and you can listen to what we thought on the Nerd on Extra. So with that, I'll say this. I sat down to watch the Snyder Cut in a pretty good mood. I had a really good morning, the morning it came out. So entered this really happy, really excited. I'm a fan of Snyder's work. I will say that. I'll go on record in saying when I saw 300 for the first time, it blew my fucking mind. I was like, you can do this? That's a thing. So I sit down for I'm doing this in one. I'm doing the 4-hour marathon. I'm doing this in one go. So I sit there and I think Tom probably got like 40 texts from me, like live texts as we're going through this, just being like, I cried at parts, y'all. I got teared up. I like outwardly, like loudly cheered for certain things. There were certainly, I was watching parts of it with my wife later. She saw my like first go around. She was in the house when it was happening because, pandemic. And I was like, oh my God, they're going to do this. They're going to do this. And then when it would happen, I'd be like, yes, it happened. Like, we get to see this. So all in all, I love this movie.
Ooh, ends right there. Okay, very good. I'll
go next.
Yes, please.
So I got all prepped because I was gonna do like the like watch along with Zack Snyder and all that kind of stuff. But there, at the time that I logged on, there were 27,000 people trying to watch it, and it was just like this circling wheel. So I was like, fine, press play on HBO Max, and I've got my Superman hat on. I'm like a little kid in my sleeping bag. I'm like, I am pumped. We got some food in, and
yeah, I ordered burgers, never say die.
I ordered some Mexican food. It was so good.
Yeah.
Nachos on hot Doritos. Anyway,
Whoa!
I know. It was such a fascinating thing because when I pressed play, I almost started crying. Like, I was like, it's like we've said in the extra and before, this is an event. And this is like a historical, I think, almost business-changing event. And when I pressed play, I was like, holy shit, a man's vision is coming to life right now, and I get to experience it. And I pressed play, and I choked up. And, going into it, I thought, the plebeian that I am, I thought, man, this 4:3 is going to bother me. It's been like 20 years since I've seen a movie in 4:3. I didn't notice it at all. I was watching it, and I was like, there were so many moments that I was like, yes! Ah! And moment like reveals, like certain characters got more spotlight and it made me care about them. There were certain characters that I didn't like before that I was like, oh, they're different.
Give me more.
Oh, they're different.
I'll say that 4:3 thing, I was in the same boat. I was like, this is going to, but within the first 5 minutes, I was like, all right, it's gone. It's gone, baby.
Yeah,
like,
I forgot.
I did. When I first started it, I was like, oh man. So I had to adjust my contrast on my TV so it was a true black because it wasn't exactly. And I was like, oh, okay. So I had to like dial it down a little bit. Be like, all right, there we go. Lights off. I'm fine. Don't even notice it anymore.
But yeah, it was just the whole experience of it. It was, I had watched the theatrical version like in the past couple of weeks too, just to have like a reference point. And
yeah,
it was interesting it was like right off the bat, like noticing things. And I was like, it's kind of like when you watch the Ultimate Edition for the first time of BVS and you're like, oh, interesting.
Oh, there was a movie here.
Oh, interesting.
Who knew?
So all in all, I had a great time watching it the first time. And then the second time I had to spread out over a couple of days. But I was just like, the second time around too, I was like, hell yeah. Hell yeah. To this day. No. Next.
Kaylin?
So I have been on the road to Snyder Cut for specifically this event because I had never seen Man of Steel. I had never seen BVS.
You're welcome.
I think the only thing I had seen was Aquaman. That was like
and
Wonder
right?
Woman's.
Well, yes, we watched that for this, but I feel like that was also.
Had you not seen the first one?
Not until we watched it for like the show.
Oh wow!
So like everything, yeah, I think Aquaman and Shazam are the only things that I've seen that are DC. So this was an event, a life event. Tom is grinning ear to ear right now. So
and you never saw Justice League, right?
No, I never saw the theatrical cut for this.
That's okay.
And after the events of BVS, I was like, yeah, what? I don't want to see the theatrical. I never want to see the theatrical cut because I don't think that's even a movie.
Barely.
So this was a lot of movie, and it took me I was very quiet and blank faced when we finished because I watched it with Tom and Nick, and he was like, "What'd you think?" And I was like, "I have a lot to chew on.
I need to process."
And then I left. But I will say that it had its like a little Lord of the Ringsy moment in there, and it made things feel more grounded for superheroes in a way that it hasn't for me in the past, which made me accept it more. And it was good. I liked it.
Do we need to take a second so you're still processing?
Well, I know we're gonna dive into a lot of conversation later. So, and you said keep it short, so I'm trying to be like, okay, not that. Okay, okay.
I'll round it out and then move on to our next two segments. Yeah, I feel like
you were fetal in the corner the whole time, right?
No,
all 10 times he viewed it.
I had to keep my eyes
laying
open.
Back, rubbing body oils all over himself.
There's no time for blinking. Okay, you gotta just keep it open the entire time. Turn yourself into a Powerpuff Girl.
Clockwork Orange, like old Ludwig van.
Yeah, I've said this I think multiple times, and I it's like a little fun but a little embarrassing to think. It's like I feel like I've become a historian of like this road to the Snyder Cut because it just the like Jeff Nimoy has said about his film Famous, like the off-screen story is also just as epic and long and arduous and cathartic at the very end. Where like so much went on and happened. And again, I want to reiterate that I was never like Zack Snyder is like one of my favorite directors, or I really like Zack Snyder. I was like, oh, he's a director. Like that's cool. Like he makes movies. Like it's Robert Rodriguez, or it's like that. It's like I like him. I'm like, oh, he's doing the thing. Like for sure. If Zack Snyder had an opportunity to do one of the Star Wars episodes, like direct one episode, I'm like, that'd be dope. That's it. But because of, in a weird way, how the poetry of the internet of like he was like literally the like most hated director from 2015 to 2019, and now is like getting his flowers finally, of being like he's just a guy, and this is how he makes movies. There's no malice behind him, and now it's like wow, there's like a wonderful character arc with a lot of people who just like yeah, maybe we should give him a chance. Like yeah, you asshole. But anyways. So as Corey mentioned, there was something on Thursday morning that we had to kind of prep for and it was important. And so responsibly, I couldn't watch the movie when it first dropped at midnight on the day on HBO Max. I had watched the red carpet premiere with Kevin Smith and Zack Snyder, which was really fun, and you got to see like people, like members at large of the fandom participate. And when
Kevin
Fisher
Smith is, if you want to hype anything, get Kevin Smith in your corner because the dude knows how to hype something.
Yeah. And then also
he's contagiously exciting.
And then also shout out to Cora, who she DIT'd on one of my films, and she edited the virtual premiere, so that was pretty cool.
Whoa!
So watch the virtual premiere, and then I was like, okay, I have to be up by like 9 o'clock so I can do this thing. I gotta shave and look all good. And I was like, do I start it? Do I do this to myself where I know I can't finish it? And then I was like, yes, of course I do this to myself. I hate myself. And I turn on the movie. And I was like, I'll do 30 minutes. And then after that, I was like, after 30 minutes, I'm like, I can't stop here. I gotta do the next 30 minutes and another 30 minutes. And then 2.5 hours goes by. It's 3 o'clock. I'm like, I have to wake up in 5 hours. And then I go to bed. And then I finished the film after the meeting. And it was, I loved it. And I was just like, I can't talk about it. I have to just wait for people to like, just, I'm not going to be a jerk that's going to post spoilers on the internet. And then after that, I had the same screener or live watch party with Zack Snyder that Josh did. And I started again. So I was like, let me make food for an hour and then let me jump back in. And I watched it again. And then I've watched it, I think, almost once a day at this point. Because it's at this point where like I'm kind of petitioning and fighting that we do get more of it. So I got to get that play count up, baby. And I'd be lying if I didn't have it playing right next to me right now. So it's something that like, yeah, of course it in the way I will say it like this, it's like, it's 4 hours, but for me watching it doesn't feel like it. You will see the clock turn, but like
Tom, now you feel like every Lord of the Rings fan has felt in the past 20 years.
That's wild. I mean, I felt the same way with Lord of the Rings too. I was like, no, when it's a good story, it shouldn't be fettered by a runtime.
I'm just saying. Welcome,
the folly is just like theaters and exhibitionists being like, well, we can't have a movie theater running 24 hours or we'll lose runtime, and also the box office means something. And it's like, well, if it doesn't have to be anything, they could just tell good stories. So I obviously, it goes without saying, like, I vastly enjoyed this film. It's not even that it's superior than the theatrical, because it is, but it's that it takes its time. It's something that like I feel like it creates for the history of these first time of these characters being on screen. It treats it as if it's supposed to be this grandiose, epic feeling moment, and it is this long journey, and everyone gets their day in the sun. I love it, and I really like how at the beginning when it first dropped off on the internet, and everyone started tweeting the lines of Jor-El. It's like people, they will stumble, they will fall, but they will follow you to the sun, and it's like this film kind of changes how people like can imagine what a comic book movie, I won't say superhero, a comic book movie can be like. And so like you don't have to have capes and cowls to be like, you like Lord of the Rings, make it like that. Make it epic. Make it world lived in and lore driven and all that stuff. It's like it could be with all that stuff. You can do it with any type of story.
That's why I liked Logan.
Yeah.
I'll say real quick before we jump into the next parts of our show. It's pretty cool. I was talking with my wife about this the other day. It's pretty cool that we've got to experience, especially with this show being around when it has, two major movie events within the comic book world in the last few years with Endgame and now this. There hasn't been anything. I mean, obviously for vastly different reasons why they're kind of historic movies, but it's really cool to see these types of films that when I was a kid would have been scoffed at be these groundbreaking, historic, the world watches kind of films. I was, pontificating upon that the other day. And I think it's really wild that this is the second time that I've been watching something and been like, this is history. This is pretty cool.
Yeah. It's a good time to be a nerd.
Yeah.
So enjoy it and celebrate it. With that, you kind of know a little bit of our numbers, ratings based on that.
Maybe.
People are a little coy.
Maybe.
But we'll go into our next two segments, which are going to be our brief synopsis and then our production. And who will be giving that to us, please?
Brief synopsis would be me.
Okay.
Fueled by his restored faith in humanity and inspired by Superman's selfless act, Bruce Wayne enlists newfound ally Diana Prince to face an even greater threat. Together, Batman and Wonder Woman work quickly to recruit a team to stand against this newly awakened enemy. Despite the formation of an unprecedented league of heroes, Batman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Cyborg, and The Flash may be too late to save the planet from an assault of catastrophic proportions.
I was like, that was brief. I was like ready for the next part.
And then our production.
So then I've got the production. I've got it. I definitely have it pulled up here. I definitely wasn't on Patreon looking at the.
Not at all.
Guess that Grumps. I'm gonna go. All right. For Snyder Cut. All right, here we go.
Wow.
Production
Snyder.
distributed by HBO Max, known for Wonder Woman 1984, Judas and the Black Messiah, and the soon-to-come Mortal Kombat. Baby. I can't wait to cover that. Director Zack Snyder, known for Sucker Punch, Army of the Dead, Legends of the Guardians, The Owls of Ga'Hoole, which I had to throw in our Guess That Grumper. I'm so sorry. I had to go. Producers Charles Roven, known for The Dark Knight Rises, The Great Wall, Uncharted. Deborah Snyder, known for Legends of the Guardians, The Owls of Ga'Hoole, Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice. Writers, screenplay? With a V? Screenplay, also known as a screenplay, by Chris Terrio. Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice, Argo, Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker. So he's got quite a bit under his belt. Story by Chris Terrio, known for Book of Kings and Heights. What is Book of Kings, Tom? If you could enlighten me.
I think it's his first film that he ever did the story for.
That's pretty dope.
That's it.
Will Beal, am I saying that right? Beal?
Yes.
Okay. Known for Aquaman, Gangster Squad, and the Castle TV show. Cast, Ben Affleck, known for Live by Night. The Accountant and Argo. Henry Cavill, a boy, The Count of Monte Cristo, Enola Holmes, and Night Hunter. Amy Adams, known for Enchanted, Arrival, Nocturnal Animals. This cast keeps going. Ray Fisher, known for Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice, True Detective, Women of the Movement. Gal Gadot, known for Wonder Woman, Ralph Breaks the Internet, Between Two Ferns, the movie. Harry Lennox, known for Ray, Matrix Reloaded, The Blacklist. Ezra Miller, known for Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. We Need to Talk About Kevin and The Perks of Being a Wallflower. Jason Momoa, known for Conan the Barbarian, Aquaman, and Dune. Diane Lane, known for Under the Tuscan Sun, Inside Out, an upcoming Why the Last Man. Willem Dafoe, known for Spider-Man, Speed 2, Cruise Control, and The Lighthouse. J.K. Simmons, known for Spider-Man Trilogy, Whiplash, and Jennifer's Body. Joe Morton, known for Terminator 2, Eureka, Scandal. And Jeremy Irons, known for Red Sparrow, Aragon, Die Hard with a Vengeance. My boy Scar. Release date was March 18th, 2021.
Wait, that was just a few days ago.
Oh my gosh. The runtime was 242 minutes. Budget gross, a little complicated. It's noted as 70 million, right? Which is what was used for the completion of the film. But it used footage from the $300 million budget. So it's somewhere in between those two. So we'll just call it 370. Rotten Tomatoes score, 74% critics from 209 users, and a huge 96% audience from 25,000 plus users.
Oh my Lord.
It's a lot of names on that production list, y'all.
It's a lot of people, and there's a lot of special thanks. I do want to mention one thing. Chris Terrio is noted for the screenplay. Also for Batman vs. Superman, if you listen to that episode, I flubbed it up and I didn't mention him, but he's in there, and so we should give him his flowers.
That's my
bad. I'm sorry.
Tom, I want to take a moment for that deep cut of The Count of Monte Cristo with Henry Cavill, like one of my favorite movies, and I always forget that he's in that, and I'm like, oh, it's little Cavill.
They could have done Stardust as well, how he's a douchebag in there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then Charlie Cox, Daredevil, beats him up.
It's a good movie, y'all. Stardust is like...
Robert De Niro is my favorite in that.
Like,
but
this shouldn't be this good.
Well, these things usually don't exist.
Yeah.
But also, just like Corey was saying, it's a long production list, and one of my favorite stories I want to share is something I saw obviously on the internet because I spent too much time on it. And Gail Simone.
Don't we all?
If you don't know who Gail Simone is, she co-created or fully created Ryan Choi, the character that we see for the first time in this film, the Atom. And for kind of the run of Release the Snyder Cut, she didn't like go after Zack Snyder or any of the people who were for the Snyder Cut, but she wouldn't pull any punches making fun of fans and all that stuff. And at the end, she said, it means a lot when a director gives the credit to the people who created it. So like there's a very long list of all the people in there. So like notable people like Jeff Johns, John Bogdanov, Mark Wolfman,
all the
creators of these characters and the stories. And Gail Simone was one of them in there. And she said how much she loved it. And she's like, I've never really been into the DC films before, but this was like Justice League. And, you know, these it just touched her in a way where it was kind of interesting. It's like, again, making a believer of something. And I don't want to shine the spotlight of like someone who didn't believe in it in such a long time. But again, it's that interesting character development that you see on the internet of like, I don't want it. It doesn't exist. Oh my God, it's the best thing. I can't believe I'm so sorry that I doubted it in the first place. And it's like, vindication. There's a lot of vindication. With that, we'll go into finally now our spoiler full. We'll talk a little bit. Obviously, we'll do our favorite parts, our favorite characters. There's a lot of characters. Our qualms, and then finally our rating. So, where do we start? Favorite parts?
Favorite parts is where we start, Tom. Like
okay,
I already know.
Do we just talk about the ideology
Tom
of this
got so
film?
excited he forgot the structure of our show just now.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
it's just
exactly
like-
what happened.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no. There's so much to talk about, and there's so much. I don't know. It's weird. There's obviously a lot of emotions.
Sure.
I'm kind of compromised. But
Yeah.
who wants to go first?
I do.
Okay.
I
does.
loved it so much when Diana was making tea and Alfred just couldn't leave it alone. It was like, could you just, if you
Alfred's dadding it up right there. Like
he's dadding it up so hard.
And she was like, "Do you want any?" He was like, "No."
No. You do. Just let it. Let it mash.
Messed up the tea. I don't want any of that.
No, he's like legit teaching her, but like I've had my dad do that all the time where he's like showing me how to cook something. I go, "Well, do you want one?" And he's like, "Oh, no, I'm full." And you're like, "Well, then."
And then her face when it's happening, when she's like looking down, she's like, okay. And then when
also-
she comes in later, like when they come back, and then he sees her and he's like, I taught her how to make tea, right?
Yeah.
She knows.
But also within that same scene when he's testing that gauntlet thing,
Oh,
and he's like,
yeah.
"Oh, you should step aside," and you can kind of see in a moment where she's
He's
like,
like, just a.
"I could take it, but sure, yeah, I'll step aside."
Yeah.
I love how it's kind of like Alfred is kind of at this point where it's like, I've made tea so much, and he's telling a 5,000-year-old Amazon how to make tea, but also like it's
he's
him
right.
because that's all he's ever done has been of service to someone else and care for other people. So he wants to make sure that they don't, falter, right? But then to that point where it's like he doesn't realize really like, well, yeah, Master Wayne thought of this idea. And she's like, really? Did he? Because obviously it saved him in Batman vs. Superman. So he's like, it might be smart for me to have something that fights against people who could shoot beams out of their eyes. And then she suggests the fucking
I'm
the
wondering if I heard this
Making
correctly.
it black.
When Batfleck is introducing the rest of the Justice League to.
Yeah, he says, "I work for him."
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
This
I
is
was like-
Alfred. I work for him.
yeah. I was like,
You did not mishear that, and I rewound it 3 times, and I text Tom about it. And I was like, "You all know how much I love Alfred." Okay.
that just goes to show of how well we are evolving and how much more we realize that the relationship between Alfred and Bruce is like so wonderful and cool that they deserve the play on words like that. And like it is that like I to me I take it as like I work for him as in like he keeps me honest, but also like I don't be Batman if I have no one to protect.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So
It's just, y'all, I think I said it in our BVS episode, but this is my Alfred. This Alfred.
Oh yeah.
Man, Jeremy Irons. I had a soft spot for Jeremy Irons before
yeah.
these movies came out already. So when he was cast and just how capable he is, and like, I love him. I love
His
their
floppy
relationship
hat.
in this. Like getting to when he picks him up in like the Arctic, and he was like, maybe we could catch the king tide in Jamaica or somewhere tropical. No,
Fiji.
All right, yeah.
I
Suntan
would
might be
totally. I
nice.
think somebody mentioned it in one of our previous episodes. I would totally take a like Taken style Alfred film.
I want it so badly.
100%.
I'll go next. I mean, you guys know. I mean, you listened to 2 episodes before Man of Steel. I mean, not just
Superman.
Superman, not
Like
just
2.0.
it was the use of him in this movie. Like, let me focus on that word, the use of him, like actually using him more often than in the Justice League. It was like, he's alive. Where'd he go?
League.
The Justice League.
Let's make sure.
He's alive. Where'd he go? Oh, now he's here. In this one, it was like, oh man, there's some development. There's like, oh man, he's making a decision again. And like
the part where they're talking about like reinstating, and then they're like, who's gonna bring it up? Are we all thinking the same thing? And then Cyborg shoots it, and then we finally see that holographic, and then but they play the theme. It was just like, to your point, like how they, again, it's Superman that expands this world and is the driver that says like all these people existed, but because Superman's there, now everyone has a beacon of like, we didn't know Batman existed, we didn't know Wonder Woman existed because they all been hiding. They're all in their own spots, but Superman was like the beacon.
Yeah.
So
my favorite part with Superman specifically is, I mean, he said his hellos to his mom and Lois, and he goes
And the
to
CGI
the Fortress of
actually
Solitude,
good.
and he's hearing his dad's talking, and the fucking suit. I was just like, when he's specifically over the planet.
Suits, all the different suits that come out.
Yeah,
Oh,
when
man.
it specifically
That was
when
exciting.
he blasts up and he like soaks up the sun and he's standing and he's flying over the planet. I'm just like, and then at the final battle when he comes in and gets hit with the axe and he just goes, not impressed, because for me it's like in the
that
comics
moment when he freezes it and slaps it to pieces like that. That was one of those moments I talked about where I was like, ooh, it's terrifying.
but I mean, like in the comics, I personally feel like Superman has a slight wry sense of humor, and like in that moment he's like not impressed. You're just like, let's see what you did there. You made a funny joke. It was
that's
just like
intimidating as hell too.
yeah,
Like,
and you're just like,
this guy
and he
who's
just
been
comes
whooping
in
the
and
team's
whoops ass.
Yeah.
And
the thing I like about that is that he's smiling the entire time, right? And so it has this very different storytelling of like Man of Steel, where he's like, I'm doing it desperately to save my mother, and then also desperately to stop the end of the world. And then in BVS, he's like kind of almost running for his life when he fights. And here it's like, it is Superman that people like people remember, the purist, quote unquote, of like, he's at full control of his power and he understands the cost and what it means to be Superman.
yeah, because he's I liken it to the comic Birthright. Birthright?
Birthright, Mark Waid.
Yeah, he has to make the decision, like he's in hiding the whole time, and then he's using his powers every now and then, but then he makes the decision to be like, I am Superman. And it's like, he was always very powerful, but when you step into your power, everybody step aside, because you cannot hold this man
Everybody
back.
wins. When you step into your power, everybody wins.
Yeah,
It's
he embraces,
all right.
I am Superman, and comes in, woo.
I mean, that whole Superman whooping ass scene was great, but for me, it's the setup and payoff of Flash. From the resurrection being like, when I go that fast, funny time is funny.
Oh my god!
Time works funny, and the mother box, coming back out and then touching back in is the setup, and then the payoff is the flashpoint essentially at the end, where he's able to play with time and reverse his mistake, and like this, me and dad stuff. He's talking to his dad and he's like, your son is one of the
Best
great
of the
ones.
best.
Yeah. And then you're like, oh man, like that. I was teared up that entire flat, and the way they did the look of it, like the Speed Force, and like Tom has mentioned, like in the trailers, like he's creating ground to run on. How is this happening? Now we know what's happening. And it was absolutely wonderful. And obviously it's a setup for the movie, which is Flashpoint movie, but
The music they use for that, I don't know if we might talk. We don't usually talk too much because like we don't have all day to talk about the movie, but like music is obviously like an understated thing about films, but like the music for Flashes and the guitar, just like the slapping of the guitar, din, 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 like during the Justice League suite. And so it's like, this is the Flash's version of it. And it's like, and like, but
so he's
like,
a part of he's like officially like he's in it now. He's
yeah.
part-
And like the performance, I just really imagine, because like, it gives you that like this is a strenuous thing for him, and that like it breaks the whole like, well, if you're the Flash, you could just run back in time and fix it. It's like it takes a lot out of him, and he really has to concentrate, and he doesn't like doing it. It's just break, and like he breaks his one rule. He's got to do, and like that whole moment of him charging up, like you didn't get that in theatricals, you just got brunch jokes, and I was
that's what I want to say is like it was talking about Cyborg too, but like using like. When that happened, when that moment happened, when the explosion happens and he stops, like
put his hand up.
I was like, I had to pause it, and I was like, "Are they about to do? Are they gonna fucking use Flash?
Getting
like
to see him
he
heal,
is so
too?
powerful. He is so. Are they gonna show me and the rest of the world how powerful he is? They're doing it.
Yeah,
And like,
Snyder fixed Flash. I even text Tom this. I was like, get that fucking Wheaton brunch shit out of here.
Well,
this is
it's
my
not that
Flash.
Snyder fixed it, it's that Whedon ruined it, and then Snyder's like, this is how it's supposed to be.
But this came out, to me, it was fixed. It was fixed. Let me correct the wrongs, right? And what solidified this for me was the moment at Clark's grave where him and Cyborg are having a moment. They're kind of joking. He's like, we can do this in a second, right? He's like, yeah. And there's this moment of silence, and then Barry Allen just goes, he was my hero. And you're like, oh, damn. God damn. He's just a kid. Like, he's like, it just like, to Caitlin's point, like this humanizes heroes in a way that we haven't seen, at least in the DCEU yet. To this effect, rather. I'll say that, to this effect. And that moment for me where he's talking about Superman being his hero was great. And there's even an allusion to it. The jacket he wears, that Flash wears, is a nod to Christopher Reeve's Superman. He wears the same jacket in his movie.
It's a red flannel.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that when Superman comes back to life, he also wears a red flannel. Mm-hmm. And when if you go on Instagram right now, all folks, if you go to ZACK SNYDER'S Justice League, I think it's the fan account on Instagram, you'll see a side-by-side comparison or like a carousel of Henry Cavill in red flannel hugging Diane Lane, and then you swipe over, you see Christopher Reeve hugging his mom, and it's exact like they're in the field wearing the red flannel,
framing,
son, mother. It's
I
was like that, like, and to me, again, that's like the thing of like Zack Snyder. It was like he is operating on a level. He's like he understands the lore, the history, the love and adoration, like how like Josh was mentioning in our Man of Steel episode, like he painstakingly like thought of how can we get red trunks on this guy in the modern time. We don't, like, it just doesn't make sense. And so it's not like it's like, oh, this guy doesn't care about the source material. Like there is a love for the source material. You can't make this without loving the source material. So it's just awesome. I want to bring up, obviously, to me, and then what as Zach has said, the heart of the film, and that's Ray Fisher, Cyborg. Oh my God, I hate it. I hate how good it is. I hate how good it is. Like, because it's crazy, and it's kind of like this weird thing. Again, Zack Snyder's stuff ages so well, and Cyborg as a character has the same way aged so well. Where like I make the analogy that Molecule Man in the Marvel universe was like a garbage villain, and then like by the 70s and 80s they're like, molecules are really important. Like, he's not a dumb villain. He's a really powerful villain. And then now Cyborg, it's like, oh, he's whatever. He's just a black dude with some robotic stuff. It's like, now it's like, no, like, we don't talk about like the black American experience. And also he's a kid who had his entire life in front of him. And also he's the master of all digital technology in the world.
I was going to say in the digital age, that's insane.
Pretty big.
Yeah, he's the absolute master of the world of ones and zeros. And I was like, that is like a heavy burden again on a kid in high school. And I love like how it opens up, how he is a hacker. He's not just some dumb jock, and he's helping out his friend who lost their house, and the mother, and there's that line, it's like Miss Stone's like Dr. Stone. I'm like, get that shit. And then she's like, what have you done to help that child out? And then it's like yeah, like that's where it comes down to. And like, that's my big thing is that like my big crux. And if anyone has like learned anything from these dramatized shows about crime is that crime exists because the current system doesn't work, and that the system doesn't help out its people. And so you have Cyborg, who's like, sees that before he even becomes like Victor Stone sees that before he's even Cyborg. And so now we have the heart of the film surrounded, like, this is like double up as an origin story for Cyborg. And it's filled with the struggle of, your parents who are trying to interpret, like, at a really tough time in your life, like how they love you and how they show their love. And then the absence of that support in your life and how it leads you down a path. And like, also, it's crazy how that became later on like the flagship, and if not like the call to action for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention of you are not alone, you are not broken, and you are not alone. And I just love how that was later on, like in the shot where Batman picks up the Flash and you see that billboard, and it's like, of course you would use this film as a lightning rod to talk about this invisible war that no one else sees in everyone's life, that we all wish we had better ways to talk about it, and we could only spread more awareness that it is a real thing. And like the scene, they cut out the actress who plays the single mother waitress.
Yeah,
they cut that out.
You saw that on, did you see that on Twitter?
Like, oh my god!
You see her on Twitter?
Yeah,
So
no, I follow her, and I like, yeah.
I did not. So what happened?
She tweeted out, she was like, hey, I don't have any way to watch this. Can anyone tell me if I made it in the movie? I'm the single mom in a montage. And Ray Fisher retweeted, and he was like, yes, you're in it. You're lovely. You're talented. You're beautiful. Like, it was so wonderful to see. And so many people responded to her tweet just being like, yes, it was heartbreaking. It was great. Like, what a important part of this character's development you are. Like, it was just a ton of support. It was really beautiful to see.
Yeah.
Like, shout out to Ray Fisher. Like, I don't want to go ahead. Finish your point. I want to say something about Ray Fisher. Real
like,
quick.
I love, like, again, and also it's the heavy burden of like the hard thing you'll do, like when Silas is talking to his son, is like, it's not Joe. Also, Joe Morton, give him his flowers. He is such a good dad. And so, like dad figure. I don't know. He's a good father for the first half of the movie, but like he later on, tries to repent for it. But like he also
that moment when his dad is like trying to walkie that it's fake, and then he sees his son walk in with the Justice League. He's like,
sees him.
Actually, it's real. Yeah. Nobody come in here until I say so.
Get out, leave, go down.
Just,
Never
it's
mind.
one of those moments where you're like, I know it's like such a silly small thing, but that like really touched me that he did that. He was like, nope, nobody come in. It's real.
Yeah, and but it's just like
no words spoken.
But like Joe Morton plays that, like, I understand if you can't forgive me, but at least try to listen to me, and like father twice over, all that. But like I love the cautionary tale of like the difficulty for you is not to use the power, or is not to that you have the powers, that you have like not trying to use it. It's like you'll be able to see everything. And it's like you have the control of all of our nuclear weapons. Yeah, you have the control of the entire like currency and all the exchanges, and you could literally do everything at the tip of your fingers. And I was like that is a heavy burden.
I mean, just to add on to that, just before Corey goes about Ray Fisher, but just that semi-final scene when he's inside the box, and I am a sucker for the message of you are not broken, you are not incomplete. That message will break me every time. I'll just like, and he just like, he steps into his power in that moment, and it's like, yeah. Anyway.
I do want to mention one thing, and I hope, again, like, I know Corey will talk about it. When Ray Fisher gets his own film, and he has to go into the internet or the tech world again, I hope they continue what I think they're aiming for in this film, is that at the beginning, whenever he's in it, he's still in his Gotham jersey. And then finally at the end, you see him as his cyborg self. And it's him like accepting himself. And so like when he's showing like how the Nazis found the first mother box of man, he's still in the jersey. And then during that point where he's in the mother box, he's still in the jersey. And then finally makes the turn. And again, it's that decision of like, I'm not broken. I'm not alone. And then like he's in a cyborg form. And I'm like, yeah, that's a visual conveyance of like his development and character and acceptance of himself. And it's like, oh my God, again, that whole, you can make a whole movie out of this. It's so good.
Yeah.
Anyways. So Corey,
Ray Fisher, obviously it's a lot to unpack with the whole story with what happened there, but they're wrong for that. First of all, he's been since removed from the Flash film one way or another. I don't know the details of that.
Can someone give me the short summary of it? I kind of know something happened, but I don't know what.
Essentially, he came forward to talk about how there was a lot of mistreatment on set by a few key figures such as Joss Whedon, Jeff Johns, empowering Joss Whedon's
abusive behavior
on set, and his overall demeanor. There was accusations of, digitally lightening skin of certain actors and stuff like that, and threatening with his job. And eventually, Warner Brothers led an investigation. I don't think anything really came of it. And they have since kind of tried to bury Ray Fisher's career and removed him from the Flash film. And all the while, he's been promoting accountability over entertainment, or accountability is greater than entertainment. Mm-hmm. And so this movement has gotten a lot of traction and a lot of support from, I believe, Zack Snyder and Jason Momoa and the likes. And so with this, I have said it for a long time, and I said I hope Snyder Cut, since it was announced, I said I hope Snyder Cut is so good that Hollywood cannot ignore Ray Fisher. They cannot bury his career, and I believe this has done just that. Seeing what people are saying, not only about his character, especially, not only here, but on the internet and everywhere else, about how he was the heart of this film and how important it was, and how his performance was just so wonderfully acted, and the spectrum of his emotion and everything like that. I think, and I'm crossing my fingers that it has done just that, because for me it has. If I never see Ray Fisher or anything else, I'll be upset, because he's so wonderfully talented. The scenes with in the car with him and his mom was wonderful. Like I just it's my big takeaway from the Snyder Cut. I was like, if anything happens, I hope it's that Ray Fisher's career is too good to ignore. Yeah.
And also just that part in the car, like his turn of like being upset, and like I felt that, like when someone's trying to reassure you and tell you that the world's not as bad as you feel it is, and then you can't help but like cry anyways. But also, and this thing he posted about it, and I said I hate this. Is that when the car comes and ultimately takes away his mother and his body, he's using his hand to like try to protect his mom in the same way that later on he's trying to bring up his hand to protect his dad, and ultimately it does nothing. Yeah. And so there's like this tragedy, but it's also like the parallel of performances that's like, oh my God. Like I talked about in the Dark Knight trilogy of like Bruce Wayne, if you watch the films, always by the third act is getting harmed in the same like gut side. And it's like when you see those repetitions, your brain, your lizard brain is seeing those patterns and being like, this person is this way. And so it's I was just like, I hate it's so good. So good. And like his teardrop, but like, anyways. So yeah, there's so much to talk about. Like one thing I want to talk about, and I'll pass the mic, is I might be in the minority, and I'm totally cool with being in the minority of this. I really adore the Flash like intro scene and the song used throughout the entire time. Like, I don't know why, but it made me cry a lot. And I was just like, it was like,
I can't recall off the top of my head which song is it?
It's called the Siren Song. Okay. And it just has a piano, and it's when he's saving Iris.
Yeah.
And it's like the part it ends on is hear me now, or let me hold you kind of thing. And it's just like this like wonderful, beautiful moment. And if like every character gets a song that kind of tells you what their emotional state is. And it's like almost like, why does it feel like this is a more effective music video than most music videos I've seen in the last 10 years? like it expresses an emotion, it tells you a character, and then also tells you the action and then what happens within that action. Like, and so like I absolutely loved it. Also, there's a fun Easter egg in there, the hot dog stand.
Oh.
The hot dog stand that gets blown up is Granny Goodness hot dogs. And Granny Goodness is one of the new gods that works for Darkseid.
The company on the truck, here's another Easter egg in that scene, is called Gardner Fox. It's GAR, yeah. Gardner Fox, for those of you who don't know, is a comic book creator who actually formed the Justice League. He's passed away since, but so it was a little homage to him on the truck, which I thought was really wonderful. I enjoyed that scene. I thought that was really I loved the way the glass broke, and the thing that got me in that scene was, and I know we saw it in the trailer, when he moves his feet and his shoes just tear apart.
Yeah.
Because they're not made for moving that quickly, much like his suit is, very competitive ice skating suit. But yeah, I enjoyed that scene as well.
Other favorite parts?
Caitlin? I feel like we've taken over the.
My brain is like blank slated just because so much information has been coming out. Go ahead if you have another one. Parts?
Oh, I got Steppenwolf's fight with the Amazons, man. This is the first part I cried. The first part I got teared up and choked up on was during this fight when when he shows up and the mother box shows up and then the queen says, Amazons, show him your fear, and they all just go, we have no fear. And I was like, oh my God, I love the Amazons.
And I'm going to say like this, and I'm taking this.
I love them.
I'm taking this term.
Hit me.
I'm taking this term from Rob Liefeld, and he says sandals and swords. And swords and sandals. And it's like Zack Snyder really kind of paved the way for that with 300. Because later on after that, you got Immortals with Henry Cavill. You got Wrath of the Titans reboot, right? And so, of course, and that's the kind of thing where it's like, oh, how is Zack going to do the Amazons? Because this would be the first time he has done it. Like we had BVS, and then we had Wonder Woman. And so we saw Themyscira, and we saw Connie Nielsen, we saw Antiope. But how would Zack do it? And you're kind of think like, well, no shit. The guy did 300. Of course he would know how to make an island full of women who are warriors who are like thousands of years old, the most terrifying but also cool and badass.
Yeah.
And to me, it's very like, I think, and this is from a male's point of view, so I'd want Caitlin to weigh on this, like, I thought it was handled really, really well because you had different different armor, different outfits for people. So, like, and I just kind of harken back to like the fragile, toxic bullshit behavior of like Last of Us Part 2 and people being pissy at Abby because she was like being buff. Ripped. She was a buff girl. And this, you were allowed to have the buff women with the women who were the archers wearing leather, with the commanders who are wearing armor. And so like it's a multifaceted society where everyone's like shown well. And in the theatrical Justice League, you only see the buff women. And so it doesn't make sense. It doesn't feel like it's a good interpretation or like representation of it. And here it's like, oh my God, like I could see a whole, like that's what I actually think. It's like a miniseries called Themyscira, like Xena. I think would be dope as shit.
Yeah.
Like the Legends of Themyscira. Sweet. Like,
I mean,
as long as Lucy Lawless is in it. We're talking
about that would be fine with me. The sealing the doors, having to blast out those giant poles with the hammers. Like, for those of you that have trained with like weights and doing hit workouts and stuff, sometimes they'll hand you that sledgehammer and you hit the tire or whatever. But like seeing that ladies like ab muscles,
1,000 abs for miles.
That's so much work.
Many of those women are CrossFit athletes.
Yes, of course they are. They're ripped.
At the time, I was doing CrossFit, and I followed many of them because they were in like CrossFit games and all that kind of stuff. And they're
thousands of miles.
But let me say something real quick, just for ladies that like want to work out, but they're always worried that like, oh no, I'm gonna gain muscle mass. Do you know how long it takes to get ripped like that? Years. It takes so much work.
Longer than I want it to take.
It takes forever. You have to be so on top of your diet. Like, are you going to gain a little muscle mass? Yes. But to get to that, like to be a buff woman, that's some work. So don't worry that you lift, some 15-pound weights.
Like there was all body shapes.
You good?
There was like.
Oh yeah, I mean there was all sorts of different body shapes, but
to me,
there's always been this long stigma of if I do any weightlifting, I will be that immediately.
Yeah.
That whole fight though, like just from that moment on,
so good.
And when they topple it, and obviously the heartbreak she has for having to like kill off a bunch of her own people. I mean, they would willingly sacrifice, but all her daughters, and then just to have him jump back out of the ocean like nothing happened and be like, fuck. And then the part that got me was when he's filled with like 6 different arrows and then he just flexes and they all just snap off. And I was like, they're fucked. They're so fucked. This is crazy.
Can we give a little shout out to Steppenwolf's armor? That like
the
minute he came out and his suit went pip, 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 pip. I was like, I want to wear that all the time.
Okay. I'm really glad you bring this up, Caitlin, especially how experienced you have around the cosplay community too. And this is my point, and this is why I get so freaking triggered. So many naysayers were like, it's stupid, it's so spiky. When they first saw, I was like, you haven't even seen it in action. Like, you think it's better than dopey Happy Meal looking Steppenwolf over here, but like whatever.
No.
And then also to Josh's point, when the first stills came out of Themyscira for Justice League first came out, there was a cool promo shot of the Amazons, especially the ones with the sledgehammers, taking pictures next to the Batmobile. That got literally flagged as quote unquote toxic because. Wait,
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that?
So there was a promo still of the Amazons with the Batmobile for like when in 2017 or 2016 at this point. And when that image went out, and this is why I get so pissy at people at the internet, people were labeling that as toxic because they were like, women shouldn't be having their midriff shown like that. And why would you have buff women like that? Like there's more than different types of body types. And I'm like, yeah, we haven't seen these
I feel like
celebrated on screen yet.
To put it in context, so they put it in side by side with Patty Jenkins, who have full body armor on, covering like their entire torsos and stuff. And there was a discussion around, maybe I saw something different than something super toxic, but there was a discussion around the male gaze versus the female gaze when it came to the Amazons. That's what I had seen.
To me, the irritating thing is like when people half use the male gaze, and it's the level of like, it shouldn't be a level for me to operate where like I'm trying to sexualize the thing that I'm looking at. And I need to look at it like, and I've said this multiple times, like the female gaze has not really been established in the film world because we haven't let it grow. And we live in a sadly patriarchal like film world where like the lenses and how we visualize how film should be made has been dominated by men. And so women haven't had a chance to be like, well, this is how it looks. And it's not even like the opposite of men. It's a different way completely. And to me, it's more of just like, you get to see different versions and different variations. And it's not an upskirt shot or Gal Gadot's like booty, like when she's meeting Ben Affleck. And that like, and to me, it's like, I've seen the comparisons and it's like, but no one gets mad at like another superhero female character getting gagged by a bunch of men while she's like strapped into the chair. And it's like, there are so many ways that I can like break down of like, there's just double standards and people not accepting like what is trying to be translated.
The convo I saw was about costume designers. So I think we saw different stuff.
Yeah. Like
it was that they hired a female costume designer for,
and Michael Wilkinson, I think,
a male one for Justice League.
But yeah, he's
we
done
saw
all
two
the
different
costumes.
very different posts.
Yeah, and so my eyes roll out of the back of my head every time I hear like how like Zach is over sexualizing things. I'm like, oh my god,
that was like very. There was nothing really in that film aside from Zeus that felt over sexualized, but that's just my gaze.
I mean, also I guess Jason Momoa too, right? I do want to
not gonna say it, but yes.
Josh, you want to say?
I mean, two things that I really, really want to say. Another favorite part, but also because we were talking about Steppenwolf, just kind of the reintroduction
Redesign.
of Steppenwolf. It's just like, it's not just the design, but also him as a character. Like,
it's Zuko.
In the Justice League, it was like he was kind of a petulant child, whereas in this one he's still kind of a child. He's trying to impress Daddy, who is Darkseid, and he's trying to do his mission, but he's not just like annoying as it. And
it's almost like giving character motivation. Helps the audience connect to the story.
And you feel there was a moment, at least for me, I almost felt bad for him.
I felt bad when he didn't have the armor, and I was like, he's just a sad boy. He's just a sad man. When he's
bowing and he has the armor.
Takes off the helmet.
But like when he's also pleading to Desaad and just like, please let me make a plea. I want to go home. I was like, oh, he just wants to go home. Like it's fucked up. He's destroying planets. But I was just like, oh, like to me, it felt major Zuko vibes, major firebender Zuko from Avatar of like,
my goodness.
Like I effed up and then I want to go home. And the only way I have to, like there's a funny meme on the internet where like there's a group chat with all of them and it's like, Steppenwolf's only on planet 100. Like he has 49,000 more planets to go and he's already crying about it. And I was just like, yeah, that must suck. But like, and like that's what later on increases the stakes for him of like, I found the anti-life equation, and if I show this to Darkseid, I can go home. Like, I don't have to do another 50,000 more worlds. I can go home after this one.
He found the avatar, and if he takes the avatar back to Daddy, then he gets to go home and be happy again.
How much
Josh is having a thing.
No, when they introduced the anti-life equation, I was like, deceased? Deceased anybody? Deceased?
So for those who don't know, the anti-life equation, and this is, again, for comic book fans, you won't bump into this when you're watching the film. For non, you're kind of like, okay, it's another MacGuffin. So when you're so anti-life is literally something. It's an equation. Darkseid's a giant nerd, and the anti-life equation will allow him to control all life. Like, it literally just takes over all the free will of all sentient beings. What Josh is talking about, deceased, is that Darkseid uses it, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it somehow gets translated into the internet. And so anyone with a piece of technology, if you hear it or you're interacting with it,
cell phone, anything, like they turn into zombies, like what we know and love with like Walking Dead type zombies. Like some of major heroes are zombies, and I mean,
terrifying.
If it happened, like this cyborg that we know from ZACK SNYDER''s Justice League ends up being a huge part of that, like.
Right, because technology.
But another favorite part for me is the I'll say like the battle of Darkseid. I'm just going to call it that. When the battle for Earth,
history lesson,
the history lesson, and just seeing all of these things, like seeing really more fruition of like the Green Lanterns and like fucking Zeus and Ares, and
almost got that ring.
He's got that ring.
No. You got
Darkseid almost grabbed the ring.
Yeah.
You got David Thewlis to come back.
I would love to see where that ring goes. But also, like, this makes me laugh a little bit, but like, so they've got the mother boxes. The different societies have the mother box. And I love like Atlantis is like, this creature will encrust it in coral.
Oh my God.
And then the
Amazons
the Themyscira like puts it in this
sun.
thing, and man's like, I'm just gonna bury it in the woods.
I will say the one for man.
Kick a little dirt on
And
top.
yet,
And be
which
like,
one was found last, Josh?
I will say
It just makes me laugh when they're like,
Huh? Humans for the win.
this will work, right? This will work.
I will say though, the guys who cast the one for man, the one in the very middle of the frame when they break open the casting, is Ray Porter, who plays Darkseid. So nice,
pretty dope.
cameo.
Yeah.
That's why he looked familiar.
Yeah. Are we gonna put it on a big pedestal with like a spotlight?
It's
that
like,
shows
hey, come find
where to find the
this.
mother box?
Like-
Like, we're gonna put it in the woods and forget about it.
Lighted signs that are like that blinking arrows, like mother box.
Don't worry.
Come in
we'll
for a
just
good
have-
time.
We'll just have 200 Amazon always here.
Yeah.
Breaks my heart.
More about the history lesson for you, Josh?
Oh no. I just it was also just it was fantastic
Lord of the Rings
just to
vibes,
see.
right?
Huh?
Yeah. And
that's the Lord of the Rings vibes that Tom talked about in the beginning.
Yeah.
We
Where
all
like
talked about
everything. Okay, so overarching, it's like everything fit. Everything fit. You gave me explanation that wasn't just like, accept it. It was like, here's some explanation.
Yeah,
Here's a history lesson of like, it wasn't just like exposition. It was just like, all right, kids, here's a story.
But they showed us, and also again, screen direction, Weta Workshop, give them their flowers of like, here are the bad guys, they come from the right. Here come the good guys, they come from the left. You know what side is going to win if one side beats the other person off the frame. And they're framed in such a way where they're on those sides of the thirds. And you're like, cool, geography matters. Like, it's not just like, let's just fight it in a circle and we don't know what's happening. There's always like a level of like ground being, huh?
I said, yeah, Anchorman.
I mean, it's Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings is like Two Towers is like the epitome of like great war scale fight because you know when the good sides are winning or the bad side's winning. So, Caitlin, anything else? Or are you still blanking?
I mean, I was a huge fan of like the original fight for the mother boxes, having a lantern there, having like the old
fight,
gods, the history lesson part,
Zeus and Ares,
the 12-pack Zeus,
Thirsty Zeus,
12 pack Zeus, Thirsty Zeus,
yeah,
Thirst Zeus.
Thirst Zeus. No, it's just everyone. It made me curious about that time too, and it was cool to have the like. They were very powerful back then. They're just as powerful now, but it's a completely different team. I don't know. I liked that more.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, and that's also another world building thing where it's like you can literally do a prequel to this and be like the first league, and then just do it where you get Hippolyta and then Zeus and all them and Atlan and all being like, we have to figure this out.
And then humans. I will say I loved the bit, the finding out that the Atlanteans and the Amazonians had similar phrase. They say the exact same thing, and they're like, "Huh,"
but also hate us.
We're not that different. Yeah, like I love little moments that just kind of built to the lore. They have no effect on the movie whatsoever, like in the grand scheme of things. But like just that little moment where he's like, "Yeah, we," or did he say it? And she was like, "We say that too." Like, oh.
No, they
finish each other's sandwiches.
Sandwiches. Yeah. And like interesting. I just the little things like that and made me very happy. I also y'all, I screamed like a little 5-year-old child when Martian Manhunter reveals himself as being Clark Kent's mom in that conversation. Like what? What?
And so,
what happened?
I'm going to say this also for
first of all, beautiful scene.
Non-comic book fans, if you don't know, but also, regardless, if you don't know who Martian Manhunter is, it's still 10 times better scene than what we got with theatrical, where Martha is like, Clark always said, it's like, what are you still working at the Daily Planet? It's like, yeah, just keep working. It's like, Clark always said you're the most thirstiest girl. It's like, come on.
First of all, Clark would never say that. Caitlin doesn't know about that line.
Yeah, so
he told me about it, but
okay, good.
But like, so Martian Manhunter, John Jones, the last Martian alive, Green Martian, because even they deal with a little bit of racism with White Martian and Green Martian. So like telling that story could be dope, but also it's kind of poignant, especially if you do know this thing. If you don't, it doesn't mean anything. That he is also someone who is the last of his kind, talking to someone about grief. And so, like, Martian Manhunter can read minds. And so it's, once you know that part, it's like, it makes sense why he would know what Martha would think or why he would know who Bruce's parents are at the very end. And so, like, that kind of plays in. It's like, I need more Harry Lennox as Martian Manhunter. Please. I'm just doing this with my hands underneath the table, by the way. I'm like,
give it to me.
Give it to me.
My very very last favorite part is at the end. It's like, I can only call this a correction. It's the scene with Lex Luthor. That's a thing. Lex Luthor, and instead of saying we need our own league, to me there was like when I saw that, it was like Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor had come to fruition, where he was in me watching it of like, oh, this is the guy that, he's still a little crazy, but he's a little bit more focused crazy.
Yeah.
And like, it was thankfully not like, how do I lead into a sequel by a line? We need our own league. Like, okay.
Sure. He's like, and so I also want to talk about and so one thing we've kind of missed, or we haven't missed, but we haven't talked about because we're just overwhelmed with so many new things because it's 3 hours worth of new things, is Wonder Woman's opening sequence. And the part where after she handles the terrorist, because the now terrorists make freaking sense. Before it was a robbery and it never made sense. Like, why would they still blow up if it's a rob? Anyways, is her having to do the superhero thing and making sure everyone's okay. And she's like, are you okay?
That little girl.
And then the little girl, I'm just saying like this, and I'm taking this from Kevin Smith. Out of all the things you take out, why take the part where a woman, a character who is a role model to children, you could be whatever you want? Why would you take that out?
There's a lot of questions of why they took stuff out.
The lesson of it is your duty as a person who is older, who has dealt with pain, who has faced the trials and tribulations of the world, and still finds it in their heart to do the right thing, telling a child to keep the hope alive. Like, how do you take that out? So that's the thing. I don't get it. Also, Zack Snyder cameo at the beginning with Lois Lane in the coffee shop.
Yeah, he's in the coffee shop.
And he's apparently what he's doing in that shot is drawing the scene.
Oh,
So, but one thing that I said what was missing is, or we haven't talked about, is Batman's development.
yeah.
Like, just 3 key lines. I feel like is all like encapsulates like his development from Batman vs Superman. He was like, Superman, alien, bad, kill. And now it's like I've done a lot to tear us apart and divide us, and now I made a promise on his grave, which those key words, Batman makes promises on people's graves. And like now his promise is not to his parents, but it's to Superman. And it's like, oh my God, you're using within the lore and again, elevating it and changing it into a new context in the real world. It's like the only reason he's Batman is because he made a promise on his parents' grave. And now the reason why he's becoming the leader of the Justice League is because he made a promise on Superman's grave. And it's like, oh my God. And so if there's that, and then
promises only count at graves.
Yeah.
That sounds legit.
You know,
but like that, and he's operating on faith.
He's operating on faith and not us united. He's the one, like, he gets bullheaded of like, hey, we have to do this. Like, we have to, like, there is no us. Like, you see that Batman leadership of like, I have the plan. This is the only plan or else we all die. And like, that's what you get. That's what you want from the guy with no powers. It's like, how does this guy with no powers literally lead the team that literally can change the face of the earth in a second? And he's like, because this is how we do it. This is like, that's not a win. That's us losing slower. And I'm like, yeah. And like, so, and also, yeah, to Corey's point, faith, Alfred, faith. And it's like, for the first time, I'm operating on faith and not on superstition, paranoia, rage. And it's like, it shows out at the very end too, where he meets the Martian Manhunter. And the first thing he says, like, can I help you? It's not, you know, I have to kill you. Like, Alfred, get the spear. You know, it's like, it's like he's come such a long way.
Yeah. I also, I mean, one of my favorite memes to come out of that was someone put that scene where Alfred is still standing there and Batman's in the chopper, the plane going, faith, Alfred, faith. And they put Zack Snyder's name over Alfred, and it said the DC fandom over Batman. He's like, how do you know they'll let me make it? Faith, Zack. Faith.
Yeah, so there's so many good things. I mean, we haven't even talked about the third act with the battle. And to me,
first of all, the red sky being gone is so wonderful because you know what? Everything
there was a red sky, Caitlin, in theatrical.
In the theatrical, that whole last act was a bright red orange sky, and guess what? It sucked because all the explosions and lasers that the enemy's shooting are bright red and orange. So you're like, what kind of, you know what are contrasting colors? Blue and orange. Fucking use it, man. Use that. It's right there. So it just gave it this, like, I felt like I could watch it and it wasn't a total overload of everything. I could see what was going on. They restored a lot of the cool things from the trailers that were cut, like little moments between like Cyborg and Aquaman, my man, like that was back. The slow-mo of throwing the spear through the two guys, like they restored a lot of wonderful stuff. And like all of Flash's stuff is different. Like there was this whole subplot with a Russian family that he just had to run away and go, which way's east?
One meme I saw was like,
definitely east.
One meme I saw was, we got Dostoevsky, and then now we have Father, your son was one of the best of the best. And I was like, oh, make your own future, make your own past, live in the now. I'm like, oh my God. Like, again, just like I'm
going to send Caitlin the clips of the family just so that she can see what we would have had instead of Flash's moment at the end. Just because as a Flash fan, I felt that meme from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, that like, vindication. He's useful. None of that. I've never been in a fight before. Bullshit. Like, so dumb. So dumb.
But also just the third act, I felt like was such, like, it felt like it was a third act. It didn't feel like we got to wrap this up. And it felt like we were in it. There was a story like Batman is on this suicide mission to take down this tower, and he doesn't care if he dies doing it. But what really matters is the team. And he's like, I
Team
brought you all
matters.
together.
They mind.
Yeah, he's just like, whatever you hear, don't worry about it. Like, I brought you all together to finish this mission. Like, at the end of the day, I'm not the important one. And it's putting those people, these metahumans that he never imagined would exist, together, and how the team comes and saves him, like when he's about to like meet his untimely demise. And then also when they finally shoot towards that building, you get that splash of all of them coming together, and you see them all running. And like, it's like, oh, we got it, guys.
Taken straight from a comic book. Like, there was just like, boom.
But like, it's those things where it's like, it builds the team. And then also at the very end, after the fight, when they're on top of the dome, and Superman is the one carrying Batman this time. You know, like in BVS, Batman had Superman on the ground, and he's the one that picks him up. And now this time it's Superman picking him up. And what is he picking him up from? A fucking hole. What does Bruce Wayne fall into? A giant hole, and sees bats. And so it's Superman's hope. Again, it's the embodiment of hope, bringing him out of apathy, bringing him out of like the darkness and into the light amongst people. And it's like, and that's again where it's like those things that don't play out, where you're like, yeah, cool, you'll dirty the frame up, or you'll have these really cool parallax shots, but it's like they don't say anything. Like these shots say something about the characters and about their development, where they've grown. And it plays really well when you have the films talk about the previous film in a way. So like this film recontextualizes the death of Superman, and it shows like his death wakens the mother boxes. So I could go on, but I know we have plenty to do.
We got to keep moving.
Yeah, so
we got our favorite characters. How are we doing this, Tom?
I don't know, man. This changes everything. Two characters.
Two favorite characters.
Two favorite characters, and then one apocalyptic.
One
villain.
One bad boy.
Yeah.
Okay. Two, and then a bad boy.
Yeah.
Okay. I got this. So Flash.
Ooh.
Oh, big surprise. Big surprise. Because
I think it is a big surprise for me.
Really?
I feel like it's obviously you have an exact opposite reaction of this film compared to Justice.
I hated Flash in the first film.
So
they just, it wasn't played as a neurotic, goofy, more Wally Westy character. They played him. He has his serious moments. He's just a kid. And that shined through more than like, oh, he's quirky, he's edgy, he's all these things. You're like, well, Barry Allen is boring as fuck. Like, he really, when he gets his job, he takes it seriously. He wants to freeze. Like, and you got those moments. You still had that characteristic in this character. Is it my ideal Flash? No.
Him getting the job at the dog shop is very comic booky, I feel.
Yeah.
It's very like, I start Monday. Like, it's the hero who it's the Peter Parker parable of like, I can't really do my job because I'm too busy saving people, but I still need this job.
Yeah. And you can see that these quirky little moments that he has is more defense than anything else, because when he does need to get serious, he drops it all. It's all, there's that the scenes with his dad, guys. Fucking Billy Crudup.
Billy Crudup, oh my God, give him his flag.
When he's saying these things like, don't come here anymore, and he's like, don't ever say that to me again, please. Heartbreaking. And then when he gets the job and he's like, my son, I taught him nothing he knows.
Foot in the door.
Like, I thought that was anyway.
I know. Corey.
Flash was my favorite in this movie.
I want to add one thing with Flash though. Like when he gets shot and he's just like, I just got the wind knocked out of me. It's all good. Like,
oh yeah,
that performance was like, oh shit. I feel like someone did punch him right before they said in action.
They might have.
And like it was like also that sense of like you don't want to let your team know that you're badly wounded. And it's like, I might mess this up for the rest of the team.
I need a second.
Heal, Barry. Heal.
Yeah.
And getting to see him super heal on. Anyway, and then Cyborg. 100% Cyborg is my second character in this. I loved everything. I can't understand why we lost out on so much of his story from the first Justice League.
This movie was supposed to be in 2017.
Fuck you guys. This is amazing storytelling that you just decide. And there's shit they changed. Like Tom can attest to this. I don't know why they changed. Snyder has a cut when he meets Diana that he flies in and lands. And in the fucking Justice League, they changed it so he just walks into screen with a hoodie on. And you're like, what? Why? Because you just wanted it to be your fucking movie, you prick. Anyway, listen. My favorite, what did you call him?
Villain? Apocalyptic?
Steppenwolf. 100%.
Little steppy.
Look, I think Darkseid's dope, and getting to see like the what ifs with the laser eyes and stuff like that.
The Omega beam
was so cool. But for me, it's. I mean, you get to spend the most time with him, right? So it makes sense. Steppenwolf, he gets the most development. You understand his motivations. He's legit terrifying. Like, I did not care at all for the first movie. Like, he was so vanilla. He was so
his
pale orc from Hobbit.
Has lightning on it.
Yeah, he was pale orc from Hobbit, where you're just like, I don't really care. I feel nothing of looking at this. But then this guy, like, legit scared me. Like, every time when he called off the parademons and was like, this one's mine, I was like, oh shit. But then, of course, Wonder Woman, I belong to no one. I was like, yes. So those are my three.
Yeah, I'll go next. For me, of course, it's Superman. I will always have a soft spot.
I don't know
Henry
why
Cavill.
anyone would think differently.
Well, that's what?
The hat, the shirt, what gave that away?
I mean, Henry, like I said in Man of Steel, Henry Cavill is my Superman. I just, every time he's on screen, and I think that they properly, like, they gave the man, the being, his due in this. Like, I remember watching Justice League and just going, like, you could have not included Superman in this movie, and it probably would have been the same. But this, they had, like, motivation for bringing him back to life. They used him. He had some emotion in there. He had, he was at the last part of the movie, but he had purpose and he had use, and we got to see how strong he really is.
Well, you felt the absence of him.
Yeah.
You got to, and that's why, like, I think there's a lot of people who are like, well, he was only in the end of the movie. I was like, you know how dumb it would feel if, like, he died and came back 20 minutes later? Like, you'd be like, well, yeah, we're done. Like, it's fine. And that's the thing where it's like, why would Batman need to assemble a team when there's Superman? Also, why would Superman need a team? He could handle it all by himself. And so, and also it's a matter of, like, on-screen time. Like, and I hate to make this comparison, but when in Spider-Man 2, Peter Parker isn't Spider-Man, it's for like 40 minutes. And in Amazing Spider-Man 2 with Andrew Garfield, he's not Spider-Man for like 10 minutes. And so you're like, you're going to end the movie, he's going to be Spider-Man again. We get it. And here it's like, it's 3 hours, and then we don't get Superman. And then we finally get Superman.
Yeah. I mean, copy-paste with Cyborg. It was so nice to get so much more of that character. And Corey already said it. It was so nice to just get so much. And Ray Fisher just,
like, a motivation, an understanding, a backstory of why he's conflicted, and he's not just sad boy.
And the
arc
journey,
of growth.
The journey between his dad and like accepting his dad, like an understanding in a sense. And then baddies, I mean, I probably have, it's because of comic books, like, I have a leaning towards Darkseid, because I just, in my mind, I can't help but imagine just the thing. We may never see it, but I'm just, in my mind, I'm just like, he's so powerful.
Yeah, it's like if we were watching an X-Men, like an actual good X-Men movie, and a good Apocalypse showed up for only a moment, I would lose my mind, even if it was like, well, he didn't do anything. I was like, you don't understand.
No, the presence of him is a big deal. It's like,
no offense, Oscar Isaac, you're great, but that hurt my body to watch.
So so that is me.
Kaylin, you're me.
You go.
Okay, so number one, it's gonna be Batman for sure.
Yeah, it is.
Of course, it's Batman.
I wrote Batman next to your name.
Well, yeah. Well, the thing is,
no
like,
one's surprised.
We have not had Batman grow this way. Batman has never been where, like, I'm assembling a team, I'm having to not strike fear in people, and, you know, like, we've never, like, and that's the thing where it's like, it's exploration. It's like, on screen should not be disqualifying for exploration of characters. It shouldn't just be reserved for, like, well, you could only change characters in Injustice and other universes. Like, why can't you do it on screen? Like, and that's where I start getting, like, a little irritated. It's like, is your imagination that small, or are we just too risky? Like, that's what I have to start asking. It's like, I don't know what you want. But yeah, so, like, he grows in such a way, and, like, Ben Affleck just performs. Like, he just is there, and he gets to, you get to really actually be like, yeah, I want to see more of this. I want to see the Batman that's brought back into the light, who is not the villain anymore. And I'm willing to see, I want to see what happens with that tank, that war machine. So I want to, and Zach had said like he wanted to bring Carrie as the Robin replacement. And I'm like, I want to see that. We've never seen Carrie live action.
No, sir.
So that's just me. But so Batman, and then Cyborg. It's Cyborg. Like again, he's the heart of the film. He's the heart of the film. And also when he says fuck the world, I'm like, I feel that innately inside of me. Yeah.
And I will fucking kill you.
But like also when he's discovering his powers and like he's flying for the first time and he smiles and it's just like, yeah, because when you learn how to fly, you smile. Like that's like kind of this beautiful thing. Again, it's a parallel.
You can't see it, but I wrote Batman and Cyborg next to your name. So.
It's the parallel of Kal-El's journey. And then when they're spreading apart the mother boxes and he says, Superman, and then Superman comes in and helps. I was like, anyways, I'm just like, I want more of this team.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like
That's
like
such a badass team. And like
it
like, might happen.
I'm just saying, it could be like Marvel Ultimate Alliance where Superman's shooting a beam and Cyborg's deflecting it off something, just like how they did the power up. Anyway, so favorite villain.
They're in the talks, baby.
Favorite villain. Just to be contrarian, I really like Desaad because he's like a little bitch. And he's like,
I told
my favorite
you.
thing. My favorite thing is they said he's the kind of guy who would be a kid in school who reminds the teacher like, "Hey, we didn't get homework yet." Like, shut the fuck up. Shut your whore mouth. I kill you.
Nobody likes
Damn
you,
it,
Desaad.
Timmy.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh. But like, also, I just love
totally
that.
right.
Like, Desaad and Steppenwolf all have like 8 fingers on each hand. Like, it's creepy. Dude, rewatch it and you
I didn't
see when
notice Desaad. I know. I mean, it's Steppenwolf, but I didn't notice Desaad.
Yeah, there's a production still of Desaad, and like you see all his fingers. I'm like, oh, but more, please. So that's it. Caitlin.
For me, it was Diana. I love that her coworkers think she's boring. I loved that. It was just like, you have no idea how much is going on behind the scenes for her. She's just so powerful. And even when Steppenwolf is like, oh, sucks you weren't there. You probably could have saved him.
But also
like being a smug jerk while he's fighting her, messing her up.
But also she gets her little Tomb Raider action too. I'm like, oh my God.
Oh yeah. No, it was great. And then Alfred. Alfred.
Yeah. So you want a whole show, a miniseries of Wonder Woman and Alfred. And
I just want Alfred. I really want billionaire Bruce Wayne to get kidnapped, and then Alfred to be like a. All right, like
now you just
that's
need
what I
someone
want
to infiltrate the Wayne Manor. That's when you get that Alfred.
Oh my God, I would love it if there was like some reason he can't go full Batman on people, like because like they're televising the whole thing, so he can't. So Alfred would come in and be like,
there have been
it's
plenty
Alfred
of stories like that where Bruce Wayne gets kidnapped and then and then Alfred has to dress up as Batman. And obviously he doesn't fit in the suit, so he'll stay in the silhouette. And they're like, "Thank you, Batman." And then it's Alfred.
I want that so badly.
I'm
Alfred's
sorry.
not afraid to use guns.
What?
Let's remember that.
Yeah.
Please send me these titles.
But just him being he's the reason like Batman didn't die when Clark laser beamed him, like because of those gauntlets. Like he's just great. He's like the silent MVP. So. Okay. And then for my evil, my apocalyptian, Steppenwolf, mainly because it was like almost laughable at the end of like how powerful he's actually not, which tells you that there is a bigger fish and it's right on the other side of that little portal, and y'all lucky that closed. So
it's crazy because
the decapitation too.
I know.
Hey, she went for the head.
Which okay, well. The strawberry jelly blood kind of got me a little bit, but I get that they're like kind of dead creatures for the most part. So
yeah,
it's just
funny. You also have to remember they made this movie for not these scenes.
Yeah. I totally know. It's just that just made me giggle a little bit.
So now we'll move on to qualms.
Yes.
So
how many qualms do you have?
I think I have 2.
Okay, I want to start with you.
I would say
That you're the most. I'm most curious about yours.
I would say, and these are not really qualms. They're more like if you wanted to nitpick. To me, I want all of it. I'm like, give me all of this artist unfettered. There's a lot of slow mo, and I think that's definitely like why the runtime is like maybe not 3 hours long. But like to me, I liked it. Like it used it like every time there's a slow mo, it's like this is a splash page. This is a shot in the like where you open up 2 pages and you see the entire book.
Snicked.
Yeah. That's what it is. And then I think at the beginning with the Icelandic singing, to me, I understand it like someone whoever watches it who has Icelandic background and culture would be like, this is really cool because these people are famous singers or something like that. Then I'll be like, that's what's up for the culture. This is a global film. I get it. For me, it was like these are the opening scene being slow-mo, and then that song was like, this is how the movie's gonna be. There's going to be slow-mo of these amazing moments, and it's going to be beautiful. And there's going to be songs for almost every occasion to kind of tell you what's happening. And like I understood the Icelandic was like more of like, to me, it was more of like a world-building myth lore thing of like the man who comes on the king tide. And we sing kind of like you're praying to a deity in a way. I just felt like you could cut it at the first verse in my mind. And that's it. That's really my qualms.
That's it.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Who's next?
I'll go next.
Hit us with it, Josh.
Okay. I love that he's in it. I do. I really love that he is in it. But we have to work under the assumption that there are no more movies after this. I know that this has sparked huge conversation for Zack Snyder returning, but right now it's not. I was just very upset that Marvin the Martian, Martian Manhunter was like in 2 scenes, and I was like, man,
yeah,
it builds for something so much grander that it's like I could have used more.
Man of Steel. He's there the whole time.
Huh? Yeah.
Man of Steel. He's there the whole time.
Yeah, he's there the whole time, but it's just like using the Martian Manhunter-ness. Like I was just like,
I want to throw a little trivia in there because the end scene with Bruce Wayne was actually supposed to be 2 Green Lanterns.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think he was going to bring Ryan Reynolds in. He was going to bring Ryan Reynolds in,
yes.
But then the leader or the main Green Lantern was going to be Jon Stewart. And then Warner Brothers, even though this was like an announced Snyder Cut, like we're not going to interfere, they were like, please, for the love of God, do not bring in a Green Lantern because we have our plans with it. And he's like, they told me not to shoot anything, but of course I shot something. And he's like, yeah, and I'm like, yeah, fucking rock on, man. And so he's like, yeah, then I'll just put it in.
Shot it in his backyard.
Yeah. So there you go, Josh. Sorry.
No. I mean, I can't really think of anything. The slow-mo for me, I mean, I'm basic. I love it. Like, a giant bullet, like flying through the air all slow. I'm like, yay, that's cool.
I'm easy.
I'm easy. It was fun. Slow motion decapitation of a giant monster. I'm cool with that.
Although going from slow-mo Diana blocking to seeing her full speed block and automatic was the juxtaposition there was wonderful.
You don't have to have a second one, Josh. That's totally fine.
You don't have to.
I don't really have one. It was just the God, I keep wanting to say that. Martian Manhunter.
Marvin the Martian.
Marvin the Martian.
Same umbrella. That should be a movie. That should be a comic book. Marvin the Martian.
Yeah, I can't. I watched it the second time to be more analytical, and I was just like, it didn't feel like a second 4 hours. I was just like, this is wow. All right.
Caitlin or Corey next?
Corey.
Me? Mine are going to take a while. Do you have
You
some?
go.
Okay. I really enjoyed this movie. It's hard for me to...
Here's the butt sandwich.
The first time I watched it, I even tweeted, I was like, first time is purely for me. Second time, I'm taking notes. For me, I know I sound like a broken record on this, but man, Jared Leto's Joker, it misses it, man. It misses the mark for me. It to me, and maybe it is. It just feels like it feels like someone playing Joker, and you're like, all right, man.
Like trying too hard. Like
it's not that it should be effortless, but there shouldn't be. I shouldn't have that I caught you acting moment, and I feel notice. like I notice it's Jared Leto as Joker, whereas like even Ben Affleck as Batman, I'm like, that's Bruce Wayne, that's Batman, that's Diana Prince, that's Wonder Woman. So it just stuff with like the reach around line and stuff. I was just like, okay. Although that scene, I have nothing bad to say about the dialogue.
I will fucking kill you.
Oh my God. I got chills when he said that. I was like, oh, okay. Choose your next words very carefully.
That's not carefully.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I have nothing bad to say about the dialogue in that scene. It's just that Jared Leto's Joker is just not my cup of tea. That's all. That's a personal preference thing. The other thing was that I couldn't get over was Amber Heard's British accent. First of all, it doesn't exist in any of the other Mara appearances. She's just
it's completely dropped in Aquaman. So I was like,
and it's bad. It's a bad English accent, and I don't like to like bag on stuff like that. But like, if she doesn't have it in the other stuff, I think it. There's one part where she even goes, bastards. And I was like, no. And it reminded me of, have you guys watched Friends at all? What's her name? Stifler's mom is on there. And she has a scene where she goes, I feel like a perfect arse. And it sounded like that the whole time. It was just, I couldn't take it seriously. And I feel, I don't like bringing those kind of things up because it was someone trying something. It's not a good English accent.
I do like bloodbending, though, I will say.
Oh, that was
cool. That was dope. I'm nothing against her action scenes, but that it was like a couple different English accents all in one, and it just none of them landed. So
can't wait to see the Wired. They do like the accents and all that stuff, and they talk about like what's happening orally and
bastard. That's what she said. Bastard.
Kaylin?
Like, for me, those title cards, like chapters, the parts. I hated that. I hated it. It completely took me out. Like, for me, it was the moment a title card would pop up, I'm going to be like, they're going to say that line, and I'm going to be waiting for it the whole time. And my brain would immediately go, oh, it's bathroom or snack time to pause. Or I guess I'll wait till the next one, but then I'm expecting the next one. So for me, it was, I don't want that. Like, and I know that this is a totally different way of doing things, and I get that, but for me, it totally broke immersion for me. Because then the movie stopped.
The fun
and then
thing,
it was a different movie.
The fun thing I think you have with that is, like, I think a lot of people who, like, you were like, you went on the road, right? You were like, I'm going into the experience, and a lot of people were like trying to buy in, like, how do I watch through a 4-hour film? Because if they're not like quote unquote diehard fans, they're like, but I think a lot of people like the fact that it was broken up. But then for you, you're like, you're totally down to clown for 4 hours. You're like,
the Rings
whether it's good or bad, like someone made a 4-hour thing and we're gonna watch it.
I like the thought of I'm down to clown. Zack Snyder's Justice League.
See, I would rather find like an emotional endpoint, like a period of a scenario, and hit pause on my own volition. Not you telling me, okay, this is your potty break. Like, I don't want that in a movie. I want it to be the whole story. I can choose to pause it, just like in a video game. You can hit pause whenever you feel like it. You can come back to that moment.
That's the fun part.
Well, right, I want to say, Kaylin, please preach, because there's a lot of people in the world who are just like, oh, I don't know where. It's like, Jesus Christ, you're an adult. Press pause.
Right. And this is personal preference, too. Yeah, no. Some people are probably like, no, it was really great. And I'm glad that there was like I knew that I had a second to whatever. But I'm like, I would rather pause myself. And I also don't want to expect a line.
Sure.
I don't want to expect the whole arc. I want to experience the arc. I don't want you to tell me what it is. I want to know. I want to learn on my own. And then my other thing was a couple things were just kind of like rode a little too close into the like cheesiness for me.
Like charcuterie?
The main thing that I'm thinking of is like Aquaman pops out of the harbor. I actually liked the whole like underground. They're like, oh my gosh, we're under the harbor, blah. And then the water starts coming in. But then he's like having a hard time keeping this one little pipe of water from overfilling when he's like Mr. Ocean Man who can do so much stuff. And I'm like, this can't be that hard for you. You rode a Kraken once. Like,
this is before
come on.
Aquaman.
I know, but
I was
it's still, he's been in that aquatic world and space for long enough that surely just holding back some like pouring water.
The whole
can't be the
ocean
worst
is coming
thing.
down upon him.
It's not that. I would say this. This is, again, his first time donning that armor, getting his mother's trident. And so, like, we saw Mara at full control of her powers. So that's my only thing of, like, I could see where you'd be like, well, it's a disconnect because, like, you would think he would know how to use this trident before he goes into battle. But, you know, tit for tat.
Yeah, I mean, not the trident stuff. I just mean, like, being able to hold back water in a pipe. Like,
Yeah, that's what he's doing with the trident.
Was it?
Yeah, he's using the trident to hold it down.
You don't
I
actually
suppose.
He doesn't
see him
have, like,
manipulate. He
actual
doesn't-
water powers.
Water bending.
Yeah,
Well,
okay.
then I want
Even
him to
then,
have water
well-
bending.
Well, no, I mean, I think
No,
if you're talking
there
about...
were a couple
Yeah.
other moments as well like
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
where
that's
I
what
was
I'm saying,
like, I don't know. Didn't ruin anything for me. It was just kind of like, I caught myself like hitching for a moment to be like,
feeling as if the plot was happening and not the extent of the character.
yeah.
It's like Wonder Woman could probably beat Steppenwolf.
For him to be
That-
like,
that-
you
okay,
probably
yeah, I
could have taken care of this. And then she's like, oh no, my guilt for a one whole second has distracted me enough. It's like, she's like super warrior Amazon woman. And yes, she has emotions, but also she would know that he's like playing her and wouldn't give a single care about his words he has to say. So it just like for all of these women to be like, we have no fear. And she's like, I have one fear.
That's what happens in the world of man, Caitlin. If F's you up.
To be fair,
Yeah.
she didn't know that her sisters had died. That was the first she was hearing about it.
Maybe that's saying that we should all just go to Themyscira and all of our souls would be reborn because that's a better place in the world. I mean, I'm just saying.
Yeah,
So I'm
that
kidding.
was my workaround for that. I was like,
No.
she didn't know it.
No,
half
I think it's valid. Yeah, I think if
all
you
her
start,
friends and
but then
family
that's the thing
died.
you start noticing. You're like, I think those things could have happened X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
But she also hasn't been
they're
back
like
to
tiny
Themyscira in what, like
long time.
hundreds of years or something like that?
Yeah, this in the
No,
canon,
World
I
War
think
One.
it's like 80, 90 years.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, so there were little nitpicky moments. It
thing.
didn't like ruin anything
Yeah,
for
yeah.
me, but it was just like a little more shaping in this way.
Ratings.
Yeah. They're
Ratings.
playing nitpickies. We
Tom,
can find.
this is your film, and I think that you should go first.
Of course.
You made this film. No,
Yeah, it's true.
I have
Look
the
at his shirt.
associate producer shirt, y'all.
you
That's
do.
it. I paid for it with my good old money.
Me and my buddy Zach.
I wonder what this is a 5. This is a full 5
Of
for me.
course it is.
Yeah.
I was actually really hedging on like, is it 100% perfect? Could it be shortened down? Are there things that I could take in and out? Sure. But to me, it's like also looking at the scale and the ideology of what this film is. Like, we had Avengers. Like, this was the first time any superhero film had done this, right? And I feel weird to say this, but it's like, I love the MCU and I was there for all the midnight showings for the first phase 2, first one and I think all the first 3 phases. But the thing with the DC heroes is like, I just put them on a different pedestal because Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman are much more universally well known. They are literally the superhero trinity. Like, not just the DC trinity, the superhero trinity. You don't get the MCU without Superman. Like, you don't get any of the characters from Marvel without Batman. And so, like, it's standing on shoulders and titans. And it's like, they should be loved and they're deserving of praise in their own lights and respective. But this was the first time we ever got them all cinematically on the big screen. Like, and I fucking hope that we get that IMAX release once we all safely can go to theaters, and we get that after part 4, here's an intermission and Tom Holkenborg's score plays, and you go out for 10 minutes, you go potty, get some more salt on that popcorn, you go back inside, you know? Like I could only dream for those things. And so this is a monumental thing again, and it's something like, it's not just like the film in itself. It's also like, this is the thing that we have all been asking for, is like, not just like, well, we deserve to see a better story of these characters. We also deserve that someone who was dedicated for 8 years of their life to tell these characters their stories and to go into the DC archives and work with Jim Lee and work with all these people and take the slings and arrows of being called like someone who shoots rape porn on video. I'm like, who does this? And to go through the slings. Also, at the very end, the film dedicating to his daughter.
Oh,
like, I love what he said. It was like, if I was a potter, I would make this beautiful, immaculate pot. But I'm a filmmaker, so I made this giant, monstrous movie. That I'm like, yes, that makes sense. Like that's how you honor your daughter, and so it adds so much more room for power and meaning, and that stories exist and they're wonderful, but also they could be so much more. So 5 for me, and that's solid.
I wrote that down too.
So
Joshua, you're next.
This is one of those movies that like, so I have a spreadsheet that I fill out for all of our episodes, and I have a rating thing, and I black it out. I created this when we used to be in studio, and just in case you guys looked over my shoulder, my rating would be in a black box.
That's some big brain.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And I kept typing this number in there and deleting it. Like, is it that? Is it? Nah, it is. It's a 5.
Yeah.
It's just like, like even like the Martian Manhunter, the Marvin the Martian thing. No, I'm including a Looney Tunes character. This is so weird. No,
they've done it
and
before.
it worked. It totally worked.
It totally worked. And then Scooby Doo, that was weird. No, I just enjoyed this back to front, and I couldn't wait to watch it again. Like I was trying to, because it's a long movie. Like I made time for it on Thursday. Like I had it in the books for a long time. A second viewing was a little harder because you got to work and do things and shit. And so it was like I couldn't wait to watch it, and I was like calculating in my brain like how to watch it again and like how to watch it again. Like I was like, can I watch it while I'm doing this thing? Fuck it, I'm gonna do it. Like it was just like, it was such a joy to watch, and it was such an experience. And it's like, when I see people posting like negative opinions about it online, I'm like, who hurt you? No, just kidding. No, I just like, it's such an experience that I'm like, I couldn't find anything that just took me way out of it at all. I just enjoyed it so much.
Caitlin, you're up.
4.7.
4.7 for the Caitlin. This is nail biter for me because I don't know if I put my bets on the right.
Oh,
Probably
really?
not.
The right, yeah,
I feel like Corey's gonna round us out.
Am I?
We're gonna see.
What do you? Did you just say 4.7? Moving on to Corey.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I was telling Tom I have 2 scores for this movie. I have a subjective score, and I have an objective score.
Okay.
And I'll tell you what happened. I wrote these scores down after my first viewing, and they haven't changed. Then I watched it again, and it seemed that my subjective score and my objective score became the same number, and that's a 5.
Oh
Yeah.
shit!
Yeah. I knew it was coming.
It was originally, my subjective score was a 4.9 on my first viewing. But then I watched it again, and I realized that the only things I could find were Mara's accent and possibly some of the Joker in a scene that I absolutely loved. And I figured, you know what? Makes no sense to dock any points for those. So yeah, I think this is a Herculean feat that this movie was even made. And you know, some of this 5 does go to the fact that I am so happy to see a few characters that I love dearly finally get fleshed out in a way that I love and respect that I haven't gotten before. But also the fact that we got to see before our eyes an artist complete their vision at the behest of his fans. So he let it go. There was a point where he had let it go, and he was like, you know what? It is what it is. And then we got louder and louder and louder. And like, this isn't what, not only were we, this isn't what we were promised, but this wasn't what he was promised either. So it's pretty amazing.
I do want to throw in like quick random things of like, it was also finished in the pandemic. Like, and that $70 million never went into his pocket to reshoot. It all went to Weta Workshop to finish the original previs or the visual effects that, like, for Darkseid not being switched out for Steppenwolf, and shooting the nightmare sequence and then shooting with Martian Manhunter. Also, Ben Affleck in the last scene, sober Ben Affleck, he looks so wonderful. I'm so glad that his health is in a good place. Lois Lane being pregnant, like, phenomenal. It tells that story. I'm like, cool. Now we get to see Dad Superman. Like, this is the evolution of the character on the big screen.
Damn, man.
Also, I thought again, like, there's a lot of things you could nitpick, like reusing shots from BVS and Man of Steel, like the shot of Clark on the ground with carrying Lois's dead body, and Darkseid putting his hand. That's from Man of Steel. Like Superman landing at the Nightmare thing. That's from BVS. And so it's like, wow, he took those scenes but reinterpreted with those meanings of them and like why we would fear. Like Batman now sees the eyes through that African, or was it African? Yeah. In Africa, the terrorist. And so it's like, so it's like, like Corey said, it's Herculean that this even exists, like in a place where it's mythological. And
I do have some shout outs I have to do though.
Before we get too far. Sorry, my bad.
Because we did have a couple people in the Nerd On Nation vote for Caitlin. So we have Santos, good shout out, and General G, who we all know.
Nice.
So shout out, got it right. You guessed that, you're the grass-fed guardian of Gahul, Gatorade, gluten-free guesser, Gator Grumper. Congratulations. Well done.
Someday I'm going to trademark that, and I'm going to send you guys the paperwork and just be like, done. TM.
Well, then we have to get it right every time. That's the hard part.
That's true. Changes every show.
Guys, we did it. Snyder Cut. Like, it was here.
I feel like appropriate, hashtag the Snyder Cut is released.
Yes.
Like...
actually, now it's hashtag return the Snyderverse.
Restore the Snyderverse. Yeah.
Restore the Snyderverse.
Hashtag restore the Snyderverse. I want Ryan Choi to have a movie. I want Cyborg to have a movie. Also, it just now makes so much more
Cyborg back in Flash, you cowards.
In my mind, I'm like, they have Keaton Batman coming in, they have Supergirl coming in, but also I'm like, I feel like you should just have Henry Cavill and Cyborg in it. You don't need any Batman in the Flash movie. Like, it'd be lovely, but I'd rather see a Batman Wonder Woman movie more. And also the little hand thing on the mouse, I was like, Wonder Bat, please. Like, I shipped that shit so hard.
But Tom, if it's Flashpoint, we could get Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
We can get all of them. We can have all of it. They literally said in the movie the multiverse exists.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, oh my God, they're doing it. They're doing it. So guys.
We did it, guys. We made it.
We did it.
Zack Snyder, congratulations, my friend.
And that
chef's kiss.
That
we're Tom's
concludes our Zack Snyder's Justice League episode, and also the road to the Snyder Cut that we have been working towards these past few weeks. Everybody at home, thank you so much for joining us for this jaunty romp in the Snyderverse.
This is a giant issue.
Yeah, this is a giant thing. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching us. If you are on YouTube, if you're not, check us out on YouTube. Check it out. If you are new to Nerd On, welcome. Thanks for joining us. Check out our website, nerdon.tv. It's just nerdon.tv. That's our website. But the backslashes are /Patreon, /Discord, /YouTube, /anything is going to get you something nerdon.tv. Do check us out. We do a lot of stuff. We put a lot of heart and a lot of pride into the work that we do, a lot of hard work. And
just like this film,
we do it for you guys. We love you guys and appreciate you every step of the way. Stop by, rate, and review us. Join that Nerd On Nation. It does allow us to grow. The Nerd On Nation has allowed us to upgrade our content tenfold in the past year, and we've been working from home the whole time. So thank you so much to the Nerd On Nation. Head over to that Discord and continue the conversation. There's a movies channel. Let's do that. But yeah, that has been it. You know the drill. As always, Nerd on.